Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a message that I received, and it is translated like this. I cooked for Tokoloshes while staying in Venda for 3 years without even knowing. When I came to South Africa, I started to work in the villages in Venda. But even though this house, it is in the villages, but it is a big mansion. You should be afraid of these people that build these big houses in the villages. Then when they die, those houses, they are just left there. There is no one who wants to stay in that mansion deep in the villages. My name, you call me Chipo, and I am a woman from Zim who survived a 3-year living in hell in Venda without even realizing that I was sharing a roof with the demons and the Tokoloshes. Right now, I am back in my own home country. I am trying to piece my life back together. I just sell tomatoes and vegetables, but the trauma of the things that I did in that house, they still keep me awake at night. I am making this confession because I want you people to know that these things, they happen, and if you are a maid, there are things that you can do in the end, and they can even hurt you spiritually. Most of us, we do not even think about this when we are working as maids, that if you are working for a family that is doing rituals, those family, they can also use you as well in their rituals and making you to feed their Tokoloshes. And this all happened when I went to South Africa. Of course, I had a passport, but my passport did not have a work permit. Like many Zim ladies, finding a decent job without a South African ID is a mountain too high to climb. I started to stay in Louis Richard, if you know it, for many months. I was struggling to buy even your basic food. As for cosmetics, we don't talk about it until this other local agent. So there are these agents that you can find on Facebook. If you are looking for a job, you join these Zim groups, and then you tell them that you are in such and such a place, and then there are agents which you pay them. They will look for a job for you because they know everyone in that area. So this agent told me that there was this other place in a village where there was a family that was looking for a caretaker, a maid that will be staying at that house. When I heard that it was in the village, I said thank God, because in the villages there are not a lot of police activity. I would be able to stay there without any problem at all. So I said that this is like a golden opportunity for a Zimbabwean foreigner to stay in a village where there are no lot of police. I can stay, I can work and return back home. The agent then told me that we were going to a meeting, and I was supposed to dress nice because we're going to meet a very wealthy Venda family. We went there, and then they told us that the house, it belonged to this other couple who was their family members who had passed away in a horrific car accident many years before that. So according to the agent, he just wanted me to stay there to work there. So I later found out that the relatives of the deceased, they were in a massive family fight. They were fighting over the inheritance. They were sorting out legal issues before they could finally put the property on the market to sell it, because this house, it was very huge. It was a big piece of land. There was even a small orchard that one had to look after, and they were all wanting to sell it and to benefit, but they did not agree. So they wanted me to stay in that house to cut the grass, to make sure that everything looks nice and the thieves won't be able to get inside to steal, because they will see that there is a person that is staying here. And the pay, it was surprisingly high for someone that will be working as a maid, staying there. Food, everything was going to be provided for me. When I entered into this mansion, I thanked God. I said that now I have finally arrived at a place that is so nice. When I walked into this mansion, it was big. I was even thinking about making my husband come and stay with me in that village. This house, it is very big, and inside the house there was a lot of furniture, leather couches, nice TVs. Everything was just there waiting for me to use everything. So this couple, the story that I heard was that they had been working in Joburg almost all of their lives. After university, when they started to work, they would only come to Venda to renovate their house. Now that they were dead, there was no one that could stay inside of that house. So the instructions that was left by the family, it was very specific, and they told me that every morning I was supposed to cook a pot and to fill it with traditional food, and they told me that I am supposed to prepare stiff pap, and then I had to put beef stew as well as to boil some peas, not to put salt inside of that peas, and then I was supposed to go and put it at this other tree at the entrance of the mansion. That was where I was supposed to go and put that plate that will be full of the food. So there was a mango tree when you are entering the orchard that was at the back of the mansion, but you would walk maybe for about 100 meters, then you enter into the plot where that couple was busy doing agriculture. They were planting some vegetables, as well as they had some orchard trees that they had there that they would regularly harvest. Their workers, by the way, were the ones that were maintaining. So there was a small mango tree that was at the entrance. I was told that I had to place that steaming hot plate of food close to that tree, and then I was supposed to take 1 or 2 leaves and then I put it on top of the pap, and then I go back. I was supposed to put this plate every morning at around 8 a.m. and then I just go and wait, and maybe around 11, after finishing the other job that I will be doing, I go back and then I take that plate and I continue to do my other work that they had told me to do. So I did not think much about it. When I would go and put this plate full of pap, when I take it back, I'll see that everything would be clean. I used to think to myself, maybe it is the dogs from the village or the big rats that would be eating that food. Within 3 months of me working there, I can say that my entire personal life and me as a person, I was someone that was changing. It started in my sleep. When I would go to bed, the moment that I closed my eyes, I would enter into a different world. I would see myself having sex in my dreams, sexual dreams. I would dream of different men that were different. Some were Indians, some were black, whites. They would come to me, they would sleep with me, and this was intimacy that was very aggressive. When I would wake up, I would be so tired, not even wanting to think about my husband, who was staying in Louis Trichardt in town, where he was doing some piece jobs to cut firewood. He was working for this other white man that he was working for. They used to go into the mountains, cut firewood, and then they would sell this firewood to those that want to do braai. So whenever I would wake up in the morning, my body would be completely drained of energy, and I would feel as if I would have slept with a man, I don't know, maybe 20 rounds. At first I just said that maybe it was just your wet dreams, since I would only sleep with my husband once each and every month. After I would have gotten my money, I would get on a taxi from the village going to Louis Trichardt. But as the months turned into many years, that was when I started to see that these things that were happening, they were not even normal. I suddenly became addicted to masturbation. These spiritual husbands that were sleeping with me in my dreams, they started to make me to feel like I wanted to sleep with a man every now and then, but not a real man. I just wanted to satisfy myself. I started to join WhatsApp groups. These were your porn WhatsApp groups where men can send pornographic material. And then as I am watching those women that will be enjoying in those videos, I'll start to play with myself, touch my boobs without even thinking about my husband. When my husband will call me, I would ignore his calls because he made me to feel so sick. Eventually, I told him straight. When I was still with my husband, whenever he would speak with me, I would feel as if he is just annoying me. His voice, when he would send a WhatsApp voice note, it will annoy me. When I would see his pictures, it made me want to vomit. I told him that I did not love him anymore. I just dumped him over a text message. We were a couple that had kids in Zim. I said, I don't want you. He accused me of dating another man, and I said, whatever, I do not even care. And then I went and I bought an adult toy, a dildo, which I would use. I will start to masturbate maybe around 5 p.m. Then I would finish masturbating at 8 or 9 p.m., pleasuring myself. I would cook early, bath early, get in bed. By then, I had bought a laptop. I had a USB that I had went to the shops, and then I had asked this other guy to load that USB with pornographic movies. Some of them, they were 2 hours long. I would watch a porn movie from the start without even skipping, just watching, just enjoying inside of that mansion that had a lot of rooms without me being afraid of anything. I did not even know what kind of a woman I was. I never wanted to go to church anymore. I stopped praying, deleted the Bible from my phone because it made me to feel very guilty whenever I would have finished masturbating. So as time went on, there were things that were happening inside of that house that I could not understand. The house became incredibly noisy, even though I was supposed to be the only living soul on that property. When I would be in the bedroom, I would clearly hear the sound of people that were talking in Venda, that were having conversations. If I was upstairs, downstairs, you would hear people talking and laughing as if they were the owners of the house that had came back from Joburg. At exactly 2 a.m., if you were awake, you would hear a car stopping by and the gate being opened, and you would hear people talking, and this kept on happening over and over. A normal human being would have packed their bags, run away, knowing that this house, it is haunted. But because I was fully possessed by the demons of that house, Brother Nash, I did not even get scared. I would masturbate looking for a way to go to sleep early. If I had people talking, I'll be busy playing with myself. For 3 solid years, I lived inside of that spiritual blindness. I did not care about anything. I was isolated from my relatives, my friends, my community back home, my family in Zim. They were worried. I would send money, but I would not even want to speak with my mother. She would ask me, is there a new husband that you are staying with? And I would say no. And then sometimes I would even block him. My turning point came during the 3rd year. It was during the festive season. My mother fell severely ill back in Zim. My sister literally begged me, crying over the phone, asking me to come home for 1 week to see our mother before she passed away. It turned out that it was a trick that they played on me. They saw that this was the only way that I could return back home. So then I went back home. When I returned back home, then they forced me to go to a Sangoma's house. They literally grabbed me, and then they put me in one of my brother's car, who was a police officer, and then they went with me to a Sangoma. When we arrived at the Sangoma, then the Sangoma said that it was already late. We were going to consult the next day. When we were fast asleep, brother, I was hearing a voice of a person that was clearly telling me to commit suicide. I said, never, I can't commit suicide. For what? And then in the morning, I told my mother, and they knew that I was someone that was possessed. What stopped me from committing suicide was that I thought about my children. When we went into the consultation room, the Sangoma then told me that he was going to help me, and I started to manifest. I was fighting with the Sangoma, threatening to kill him, even speaking in Venda. Those Tokoloshes, they were afraid that they were going to be exposed. I was screaming. Some of the things that I did, I do not even know. And my brothers, they had to physically put me down whilst the whole consultation was taking place. It is very slow. It's not like they just consult with you and then they help you. The spirits, they need to talk to each other, and then the healer took a mirror. That was the first time seeing a Sangoma who uses a mirror. I used to hear about it. So they put a mirror in front of me, and then the Sangoma said to me, I want you to spit into this mirror. I did as I had been instructed to do by the Sangoma. To my surprise, when I spit into that mirror, that was when I saw myself, Brother Nashim, in that same house in Venda, where I was busy cooking. But I was not just cooking for myself. I saw that there were 3 Tokoloshes. These Tokoloshes, they had big manhoods that even reached the ground. When they were walking, these manhoods of theirs, they were even dragging them on the floor. They were the ones that I was cooking food for, the Tokoloshes that those people that were the owners of the house had collected from Mozambique, and then they were unable to feed them. These Tokoloshes, they were supposed to sleep with the wife of the owner of the house, but the wife then refused because she started to feel so much pain inside of her womb. And then the Tokoloshes, they got mad, and then they made them to have an accident. These were the things that were sleeping with me in my dreams. That is why I never wanted to sleep with my husband after that. So what hurt me was that these people, the relatives, they knew that their relatives, they had gone to Mozambique to do money rituals, but they did not even came. So they gave me vomiting medicine, ukupalaza. That is what I did. This Sangoma that assisted me was a Ndebele speaking Sangoma. I vomited for nearly an hour until I felt as if I was about to die. And that is how I was healed from those Tokoloshes, Brother Nashim. Unfortunately, many years had passed and my husband had moved on. He is still staying in Louis Pritchard to this very day with a new wife. That is how I stayed in Venda cooking for Tokoloshes. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by one of our dear sister. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. If you have ever noticed anything at the house where you are staying, things that you can't understand, please bring your stories to our inbox, and then we can share your story with the rest of the world. Let us meet again in the following episode.